Today we have a 2010 KTM 65 that we're going to convert to electric. I bought this thing for $700. It came with a whole bunch of extra parts over here. Whole set of plastics, the Bold Pro circuit exhaust that was on this bike. Everything that matters, like the brakes, the suspension, the wheels, are all good on this bike. It's just everything needs tuned and cleaned and put back together. This is a 2010, so we have the 4-piston brake. So the rear brake is considerably stronger than the older generations. We do need wheel bearings in the front and in the rear, but it actually came with wheel bearings. Guys that I bought it from said he has no clue how many hours are on this thing, but looking at this sprocket, I think a lot. That sprocket is completely done. We're not going to be using any of this stock chain sprocket setup anyway, so it doesn't matter. So honestly, without further ado, let's get disassembling and start taking out everything we don't need. Without further ado, let's just start stripping off parts. I think I'm just stupid, but I've taken out every single bolt and I cannot get this rear plastic piece off and the airbox thing, so I'm just gonna do that later. Let's get this motor out. Okay, the motor is basically out. I gotta get this clutch. This bolt is stripped, so I can't really take this whole clutch assembly off. So I'm just gonna start taking off these radiators and just pull the whole thing out with the lever and everything. So the bottom end and the top end's pretty much done on this. I mean, it's not locked up, the bottom end, but I think I'm gonna put it back together and just see what offers I get for it blown up on Marketplace. If I can even get like $100 for it, I mean, it'd be net positive. But here's the rest of the bike. It's pretty much torn apart, and I'm gonna keep tearing it apart and keep cleaning it up. So I got the entire motor out now, so I'm gonna take off this subframe and then deep clean this whole bike. So without further ado, let's clean this thing. Oh yeah. I also went ahead and took apart the whole subframe. I just had to pop the plastics off, and I'm gonna clean this too and then put it back on the bike. So I got everything cleaned, got these plastics cleaned. I'm actually gonna pick out the plastics and put them on. Subframe isn't on, but honestly, this thing actually isn't that bad. So next, let's check the tires, see if they hold air. Now, let's see if these tires even hold air. I think this front one will, let's see. Seems pretty good, a solid 13.9 PSI. That's not bad. Now let's check the rear, which I think leaks. The rear is completely flat, but let's see if it holds air. And so I got 19 PSI in the rear, and it seems like it's holding it fine. So yeah, I think the rear is good, but wheel bearings is done on both wheels, as you can see. That wheel bearing's done, and this one. Not as bad, but yeah, it's done. But it did come with new bearings, so that's not too bad. So I went ahead and threw the rear subframe and the plastics back on. I'm not gonna put the airbox in because the controller is gonna go in here. I'm gonna fit it probably right over here. That's how my one friend has, and that's how everybody does it. I'm gonna have to cut a part of this frame out, but depending on what motor I'm gonna get, I'm in between FW11 or GTS11. Or I thought about QS165, but I think it's just way too big for this, and I'm never gonna use the full potential of it. But probably GTS11 probably will come up to here in them 32 amp battery that I have already. I'm gonna have to cut top of this frame out, but like this whole little bit, but that's not too bad. Next, because this thing came with bearings, I'm gonna take these wheels off and do the bearings. And it actually came with brand new brake pads because these are gone, literally completely gone. I don't think it has front brake pads though, so I'm just gonna run these for now, but I'm also gonna do the wheel bearings in the front. And also I'm gonna try to bleed this front brake, but I think it might just need pads because it has pressure, but the pads are so far gone that there's like nothing left. So yeah, we'll see. So I'm gonna do the front wheel first. I've never changed bearings before, and I have a bearings kit here. I'm doing the front wheel because it's the worst and it's the easiest to get off. So I'm gonna just lock in and try to change them. So we got half the bearing out. It kind of exploded everywhere, so now I gotta get this other half out. So big update, we got the other bearing out. I mean, that one is pretty messed up, but this one, I already nicked up the rim pretty good, which I'm really not happy about. But the outside of the old bearing is still stuck in here. So I'm gonna warm up this outside and then pull it out. That's what I did on the other side, and it came pretty cleanly out. I had to use the axle to like pound it out, but it came out. So yeah, I'm gonna heat it up and try to get it out. Holy crap, after half an hour of playing with it and absolutely doing everything, we got it out. But this is pretty molested, but it should be fine. So let's pop the bearings in, then continue building. Just pulled these out of the fridge. Ends up we only have 1, 2, 3 bearings, and these 2 small ones go in the front, I believe. So, yeah, we're missing 1 for the rear, but let's just do the front because it's worse than the rear. So about an hour later, it's back together. I literally accidentally hit the brake rotor with the hammer. This thing was not going in. I was using so much force to get this axle in. And I'm like, yeah, this is done. I was literally about to buy a new wheel. Bro, I don't have it tightened down yet, but it moves perfectly. Zero play either. Okay, so we got a bit more stuff done to it. Kind of cleaned it up more, but now I'm trying to test fit the battery. 32 amp hot packs, aka a Morg 32 amp 72 volt battery. We're gonna put it in this way into the bike, so wide-wise, which is gonna fit better. It's gonna be a little wider, but not any wider than this thing was stock. But to fit it, we're gonna have to cut out these mounts, and we're probably gonna cut out some of this frame up here. Thing is, like, when it sits on this mount, I have a crap ton of room for a motor. My motor's only gonna go up to maybe here, so I can lower this battery down another like 4 inches. But I'm gonna cut out these mounts because I don't need them, so I can get the battery lower. And then with that, probably only gonna have to end up cutting out a little bit of here, maybe this a little bit, and maybe this bar. So yeah, let's see if it fits. And there we go, motor mounts are gone. I'm gonna keep these bottom ones because I might make it mount with the motor. I might use these, or I might just buy a cradle. I'm not too sure yet, and just weld a motor cradle in here because GTS 11 motor cradle is like 50 bucks, and I could just mount the motor in there and then just weld this to here basically. But I got these cut off. I'm gonna go through and sand it a little bit, make it nicer, and then we're gonna test fit the battery. Okay, got it smoothed out. It's all smooth now. It's still kind of jagged, but it's not sharp. Sanded this down a little bit, and now let's test fit this battery again. Okay, big update. So I cut that out. I also bent this little bracket in to fit it just a bit better, and I threw some pieces of wood down here just to hold the battery up. So this is how I think I'm gonna run it. I could run it upright, but I'm gonna have to cut more of this top frame, which I wouldn't mind doing, but I mean, running it like this really isn't that wide. I mean, the stock radiators came out to about here, so not even much wider. And I'll have plenty of room for the motor and everything in here to get aligned correctly. So I think I'm gonna run it like this. I'm gonna run 72680 forward driver controller right here in the airbox, probably right around here, like where the airbox used to be. I might have to cut this a little bit, maybe this mount, just to fit it in here nicely. Also, I decided to open up the front brakes, and there was like no fluid, so I added brake fluid, some .3. I've been kind of pumping them, letting it bleed. It's kind of gaining pressure. I also need brake pads. I mean, it is kind of working. Gonna work on the brakes. Rear brakes are good, just need brake pads. As you can see, there's nothing left, so I'm gonna buy brake pads. These are meant for the 2-piston rear caliper, but this is a newer KTM, at least compared to the old ones, and this is a 4-piston, so those pads don't fit. Also, to fit this, I'm basically gonna cut out the whole bottom end of this gas tank, basically this whole part, so that it will slide directly on. But as you can see, it's obviously hitting the battery right around here. So I'm gonna basically cut this whole chunk out. I might just cut it square so the battery slots in, or I might just cut the whole thing down, but we'll see. So yeah, gas tank's gonna fit. Obviously it's not gonna hold anything, but yeah, that's gonna be cut. Everything will fit down and we should be good. So I went ahead and temporarily just ratchet strapped this into the frame just to see how it's gonna fit without the wood. And we're definitely gonna have enough for a big old motor. We might need to get some longer power cables, cause yeah, Probably gonna need to get some longer battery leads, but that's not too big of an issue. Also, I'm gonna cut out that little metal piece so it can get just a couple millimeters deeper into the frame. Anything helps. So I went ahead and measured how much of my tank I need to cut, and I'm already cutting it here. So I'm basically gonna cut out a square. I'm gonna try to keep it as much as the tank I can so it doesn't look really weird. So I'm gonna get back to you once I'm done cutting. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see if it fits. Not entirely, but it's hitting the ratchet strap right here, so I might have to just pop that out, but I think it will fit. Okay, the tank actually fits perfectly. I cut it a little uneven. I didn't need to do all that, but I mean, it's fully down. Battery's in there. Battery will go up a smidge more, like maybe a 1/4 inch more up. So it's basically fully in there. So let's bolt down the seat and bolt on the plastics and see how it looks. Also, while I'm here, I'm gonna take out the latch for the air filter because obviously we don't need that anymore. And there we go. Okay, right now I'm currently trying to mock up battery mount. So I still have the wood in here and I took off the plastic so we can see it better. So I added this little piece of steel. It's not tacked in, it's just sitting here, but I'm thinking about tacking it in right here and right here because it's sitting perfectly in the battery. So battery will sit like that in this, and it's actually pretty close up to the frame, so it'll sit in here nice. I want to be able to remove it, obviously. I don't need it to be like quick removal, but be able to take it out. For now, I think I'm about to tack in this piece, so let's see how it goes. Went ahead and got it tacked on, some really crappy tacks, but I couldn't really get the paint sanded when the battery was in there, so now I'm gonna sand it and do some proper beads here, here, and down there. I mean, they ain't gonna be clean, but they'll be strong. So it's in there. I mean, they ain't clean welds, mainly because I couldn't get this paint sanded fully, so, and this paint is thick. It's not some thin little paint. So it was burning it off, and I mean, it's strong. I don't think it's gonna break. It should be perfectly fine, but, so I did some test fitting. The battery actually fits pretty great. Sits in here. I do wanna put a beam here, but then I gotta connect it here and like make a whole mount. So up here, I think I'm just gonna put another L channel, so it's gonna sit diagonal and it'll just be like wedged in there. But to do that, I gotta take out this little bracket that I hammered in. So kind of regret hammering that in. I should have just cut it. So let's cut that out first. Okay, so we got the second mount tacked in, tack on this side and tack on the other side. Okay, so I fully welded up here, so it's fully attached up here, and this thing ain't going nowhere. Also, I added just a few little beads right here at the end of this one and at the end of this one. I mean, this one doesn't really reach the battery, but so basically the battery won't slide out the end. That stops it because it's such a tight fit. So I'm gonna show you guys how nicely this battery goes in. Basically, I'm going handle side first. Get the bottom lined up, slide it into the top, and it just goes right in. And then you have to get this little lip up right. There we go. Slots right in there. And I mean, it's not going anywhere. I mean, and it won't slide out this way, but it will slide out this way. So basically, that's all I'm gonna do for today. Currently, I'm gonna go order the motor, controller, sprocket, chain, brake pads, bearings, all the parts that I need. First, I got brake pads for the front and rear wheel bearings, because if you watched the last video, I got the front wheel bearings done, but did not have rear wheel bearings. Also, I have a throttle now. Huge update. We just had basically all the Econic Cycles parts come in. So let's open this up and see what we got. First, let's start with the smaller box. Okay, we got the box open. I think this is the forward driver. And, oh, yes, we would be correct. Oh, wow, this thing is big. It's much thicker than I expected. This is the 72-680, which I knew would be thicker, but is actually the same format as the 72-450. As you can see, 72-680. Admire it well you can, because it's probably the nicest it's ever gonna be. Now, what else did we get in here? Ooh, motor bracket. We got the motor cradle, which you'll see why I ordered this later. It's gonna make chain alignment and all that super, super, super easy. This is probably wiring harness. Oh wow, man, I'm nailing these. Wiring harness, ooh, front sprocket, that's very important. Some screws, dongle, because I got the cheaper dongle version because I wasn't gonna pay an extra $50 just to have built-in Bluetooth. Now let's open the big one. Okay, got the second bigger box opened. Now let's see what's in here. This might just be the motor, which I'm assuming it is. Oh, baby. Oh, thank God. I thought these things were not gonna be long enough, but no, these phase wires are certainly long enough. We got a bracket. Here's the actual motor. Oh my, this baby is nice. So I should be able to push 20 kilowatt peak out of this thing. This is basically just an FW11, but built up more. As you can see, it's got actual heat sink and it's just much thicker and better. So this thing's gonna actually pull like crazy, especially with the 72680. I can do 680 phase amps. Oh my, this thing's gonna fly. So in total, this motor cradle was $50. Motor was $370. This was $245, and sprocket was about 20. So just about 700 bucks with taxes in total. Let's get to installing these parts on the bike. Yeah, these things are completely done. So yeah, these new ones should be really nice. Okay, got the rear brakes fully together. So now that is good. So let's do the front brakes. Next, let's see if we can do a rear wheel bearings, because these wheel bearings are shot. It's hard to tell on camera, but the whole wheel kind of goes And there we go, got it off. So now let's try to do these fateful wheel bearings. Finally, I got the sprocket side out. So the spacer is still stuck in the bearing, but it's gonna be way easier to get the spacer out with everything out. But yeah, it's pretty stuck in there. Basically, everything's coated with PB Blaster, because this thing was in there. So yeah, we're gonna get this off. As you can see, the sprocket side actually runs 2 bearings, mainly just so it's stronger, I guess. I'm not exactly sure why. So yeah, that's better, but I'm trying to get this bottom bearing out, and we're gonna see if it'll come out. Here's all the parts from the wheels: the old bearings, the middle tube, and then these 2 spacers here. So all this stuff I cleaned, and we're gonna reuse. This is all garbage, and my new bearings are in the fridge over there, cooling down so that they fit into the wheel a little bit nicer. These ones actually came out pretty nice, probably because I used PB Blaster. Should have done that on the front, because the front were hard as hell. But yeah, let's throw in the rear wheel bearings now. So here we go. We got the brake disc side and then the 2 sprocket side bearings. I'm gonna start with the brake disc side bearing. Okay, that bearing is in. So let's put, I think it's the spacer. I don't know, I'll look back at the footage. So this spacer I think goes in here. Then we gotta put this thingy in, then put these 2 bearings in. Got the spacer and this thing in here. So we gotta drop 1 bearing in. Now I gotta tap that one all the way in and then put this one in. Okay, both wheel bearings are fully in. So now this puppy should kind of just slide in here. Like that, and now that's in there. So let's throw this all back onto the bike. Okay, got the axles through, got the axle sliders on, so now we just gotta torque this thing down to about 1 ugga dugga, and we should be good. So I know all these parts are new, so they're gonna work, so I'm just gonna start mounting them. Basically, the controller's gonna go here, but like in the subframe. I'm gonna have to take off the subframe to get it in there, but I'm kind of really hoping it fits. Obviously, it's hitting there, which I'm gonna cut off that whole thing, because that used to latch the airbox closed. But we should be able to get it to fit right down here. I'm just kind of concerned because it's pretty thick. I can cut off that mount, but I think I'm gonna cut off that mount, see if it fits. If not, it's gonna go basically sideways over here, and hopefully that fits. So I'm gonna pop off the subframe. So right now, I'm cutting out the little airbox latch so I can fit the controller in the back. We're gonna see if it fits. Hopefully it will. Okay, so I got carried away. So I got the controller mounted. It is zip tied, but it is really, it's like really in there. These are some really heavy duty zip ties. The only one I don't like is this one, which I think I might be able to just cut and maybe connect it to here, because I hate that you can see it when the seat goes here, unless I add in the airbox. Here's my current dilemma. I'm trying to get these phase wires, and as you can see, there's not enough space between the subframe and the controller. Yes, the controller sticks out a little bit, but the seat somehow like doesn't fit it. It fits into the notch of the seat. Not sure how, but it does. But I'm looking like I might have to do this, which I don't like, but the seat has good space between it, so I might be fine. So I didn't show it on camera, but I went ahead and test fitted the battery with the motor sitting down in here. Because my idea is this motor has 2 rails on the bottom like that. And I'm basically gonna put 2 rails here and just bolt the whole motor down. And because those can slide, I can like align the chain perfectly, which is like one big thing I want to do. So I actually have to cut out these motor mounts because the motor can only go to here and it doesn't really fit well. but like barely fits. But if I can scooch another like inch forward, then it'll be perfect. So I'm gonna cut these out. Huge update. I shoved everything in. Battery is in. Motor, yes, it is zip tied in right now, but that's basically where it's gonna sit. I got it straight in there. This is all gonna get cable managed and shoved in here, and everything's out right now. But yes, controller's in, battery's in, motor's in. So yeah, this is how everything's gonna sit. That's how the motor's gonna look. My next idea of what I'm about to do, I'm actually about to cut the airbox. Basically, I want the airbox to still cover up this whole side because all this wiring is gonna be shoved in here. It's gonna be ugly. I'm gonna cut out this whole back part of the airbox, all this where I don't need. So we're just gonna keep this sides, and I'm gonna trim some other things in here, probably these tabs. Basically just gonna keep this mount and these mounts and that mount, and it'll just cover it up, but it will still be fully open for all my wiring to sit. So let's cut that. Boom, it's done. Probably still gonna have to do more trimming, but basically gonna take this apart and see if I can get it to fit in there and cover everything up, and it'll look really good. We actually got the airbox on. I'm really surprised. I ended up just running the phase wire up. I really don't like that angle, but I think I'm just gonna cut a notch and run it how it was. But for now, it'll be okay. I'm running it basically up along here because the seat's gonna just sit in here, up along and down. I don't think the seat will hit it anywhere. Maybe here, I'm a little concerned, but I might be able to just slip it in. But yeah, it's looking really clean actually, and this is with all the plastics off. So I'm gonna throw them all back on now. Okay, it's the next day. I took out the battery, and today we're gonna do motor mounts. But first, I'm gonna change out this sprocket. I already cracked the sprocket loose. We're gonna throw on the 420 sprocket, and then I'm gonna use the stock chain right now. Just gonna basically throw it on just so I can get it all aligned correctly and see how it's gonna go. I'm obviously not gonna use that chain. My new one's on the way. We're gonna start on the motor mount. The motor mount is arguably the most important part because it needs to be really strong and precise so that we don't have any chain issues. So we're going from the stock 11 tooth 35 sprocket. We're going up to a 9 tooth 420 sprocket. Oh, that fits beautifully. It's one big old sprocket. And now we gotta tighten this thing back down. And always remember on motors, it's lefty tighty, righty loosey, because it's reverse thread. Okay, so I went ahead, got the sprocket on, torqued it down. We are all good. So right now I'm working on trying to align the chain. I'm using the old chain. Basically, I had this square edge vice gripped to my sprocket, completely level with it. And then I had the long part going straight down, straight all the way over to here. And then I lined the chain up with that and lined up this front sprocket. And then I basically just used a few zip ties, keep the motor exactly in that place. And I think I'm just gonna weld the motor cradle straight to the frame, because honestly, it'll be way easier. I'd have to do way less work, but I just spent the last like 30 minutes getting this perfectly aligned. And I mean, it's 420 chain, and I'm gonna be putting a DID 420 chain on it. So it's gonna be even a little bit wider. The tiny little bit of play that it probably has between the front sprocket and the rear sprocket should be fine. But these things are aligned as good as I could possibly get them. So I think I'm just gonna tack the motor in place and go from there. We actually got it tacked in. Honestly, like worst tack of my life. I had the welder settings wrong like 5 times, and then I had my ground to the peg and it just was not grounding. So I grounded it to here, which I should have done in the beginning. But it's in there, little tack. I mean, motor's in there now, it's not moving. It's not strong, but it's not moving. Chain alignment, let's see if you guys can even see that if it'll focus. It's pretty good. The thing is, the chain roller like moves the chain over and makes it look weird, but it's actually pretty darn straight. Straight as I could possibly get it. And honestly, I think we'll be perfectly fine. So I'm gonna continue sanding, probably do a tack down here, and then move on. Okay, the second tack is in there. That's more of a solid weld compared to the other one. But now the motor is completely held in there, and I kind of just threw the chain on. Alignment's good, actually. This chain is sadly too short. Maybe I could pull it in a little bit because it's fully out. But I would like to throw on this chain and like at least give it a little free spin, even though the sprocket and chain is completely cooked. But give it a little free spin just to see how it all moves. But yeah, we should be good, and I'm gonna continue welding and I'll continue updating you guys. So we basically got it fully welded. It's welded here, and here, and here, and then on the back there. I do want to weld on the insides of the frame, which will just add that little bit more. Thankfully, I didn't cut off these tabs because these are motor mounts, so they're really attached to the frame, so I just welded right to it. I mean, these welds aren't clean, but they'll hold this thing in here. So yeah, I'm gonna weld a little bit more, and then we should be good. Okay, so I'm attempting to put on the old chain just to get a couple test runs on, but it is quite a bit too short, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm just gonna go grab the new chain and try to put it on and see what size it needs. Brand new DID chain. This is a 130 link, I think. So it'll probably be a bit too big for this, but because this is a 50 tooth and I'm actually going with a 60 tooth, I will need a little bit longer chain. So I'm not gonna cut it, I'm just gonna test fit it, see if it kind of fits. Threw the master link in, and I mean, it's pretty tight. It could probably be a little bit tighter. So we're gonna turn on the bike because I don't have any switches. I'm just basically gonna hotwire it and give it a little bit of throttle and see how it moves. Hopefully it doesn't explode. Okay. First startup, I'm using a razor blade to connect the ignition. I'm not gonna spin it fast at all because I don't want this chain to blow up, but let's see here. It should be the right way. Oh yes. Really expected that to fall off. I mean, you see how freaking loose it is. But that actually went really good. The chain alignment is actually basically perfect. I mean, I don't think I'll have a single problem with it, honestly. It is really good. Today we got the controller and motor in, and we also installed them into the bike and got the bike running. But in the next video, you're gonna see basically this bike fully done and ready to go rip. Since the last video, I've done a lot to this bike, but sadly didn't record much of it. The main thing we did is we finally got our custom rear sprocket in. This is a 60 tooth 420 sprocket, custom made to fit this bike. Also, I threw on the DID 420 chain that you guys saw in the last video, and this thing runs amazing now. Handlebars next. I'll show some older clips, but I used to have a whole bunch of switches for everything, but I ended up just going down to a throttle, 3-speed switch here so I can select my modes. I also mounted my display from razoron.com. Also, I actually exchanged all those switches out for this cluster. This is like a 4-wheeler cluster that I got on Amazon. It was like 10 bucks. Basically, we have on off right here. As you can see, the display turns on with the bike. Then, because this has a light switch in it, I turned this light switch to my Baja. As you can see, I did a little custom setup. And then there's a little momentary switch here that when you hold it down, you have reverse. So basically, normal, go forward, hold it down. As you can see, we got reverse momentary, and it's honestly, once you remember it's there, it's super nice. The bike is really dirty right now, but I also went ahead and wrapped the battery. Also, the biggest change I've done is I changed the whole plastics. Last video you saw, they were white plastics, and honestly, I didn't like the look. I kind of wanted the more OEM KTM look, so I threw on the orange set of plastics that came with it. They are a little clapped, but also, I threw on the plate from my 105 over there. I took the plate that I already had on there, changed it out to a blank one. I threw that on here. And honestly, I think it looks really good, way better than the stock plate. Also, I tuned the suspension. I just kind of stiffened it up as much as I could, which is still pretty loose, mainly because I'm too heavy for this bike.
But how much did this actually cost to build? As you can see here, this is the bike bone stock. I bought it for 700 bucks. I paid a little bit much for it, but honestly not too bad for giving the condition. Also, I was able to sell the stock motor blown up with the radiators, pipe, and silencer for $220 on Marketplace, which was an okay deal, but that actually got me the bike pretty cheap if you count that against the price of the bike. Next, I went ahead and bought a GTS 11. That motor can push nearly 20 kilowatts peak, and I am pushing it to that max. Next, I bought a Far Driver 72680. This controller is able to push 680 phase amps at 300 line. And I'm currently running it at 200 line because that's the max my battery, but I will do 300 line amps peak. Next is my battery. This is a 72 volt 32 amp hour hot packs battery. The story on this battery is I had a 28 amp hour 72 volt hot packs battery that I actually traded for this 32 amp with my friend because my battery fit into his bike. So that's how I ended up with this 32 amp, and I ended up just using it in this build. Next, I got a 420 sprocket for the GTS 11, and I got a custom made 420 rear sprocket, so I'd have the correct gear ratio. It is a 60 tooth in the rear. Next, I got a pretty basic O-ring DID 420 chain, which I am looking to upgrade to potentially an X-ring chain, but that's in the future. Also, I did a wheel bearings kit because the wheel bearings were completely shot on this bike, mainly because it is over 15 years old. Also, while I was there, I got new brake pads for the front and rear, and it made these stock brakes feel amazing.
So yeah, let's go ride this thing and see if it's even good.
Alright, we're on the streets now. I'm only running 200 line amps right now, but this thing moves if you need it. Like, this is Pro 3. It'll pick up if you want, but honestly, I really don't need any more than 200 line amps. I can run 300 pieces though. I ran this thing on 300 amps. Wow, it moves. Full 20 kilowatts, this thing moves. Like normally, I have my Mode 3 set to like 16. And then my Mode 2 is set to like 12, which I like 12. Something about like that 11 to 13 range is just nice. It's nippy. This thing is fast. If you need to move, this thing will go. It's so fun. And I got this cluster on, so this is from my Baja, Razor.com, but this kind of custom setup. This is my reverse. You hold down this button and then you have reverse. And then this is on and off. I don't have a key yet, but soon to have a key. Alright, I actually looped here before, but let's try to wheelie on these foot brakes. I'm alright on foot brake. I mean, that was a bad attempt. I can keep it up fine. Let me try to drop it back a little bit. I haven't ridden in like a week because it's been snowing, so I'm a little rusty, but it's so buttered and smooth. I don't know, this bike is very grounded. I'm not gonna lie, on the street. So like 20 kilowatt is like borderline manageable. But I'm gonna update you guys at the trail because this GoPro is dying. All right, now we're over here by the trails. I'm gonna try to do some wheelies on this little street though. I'm like on my fender right now. Ooh, it's kind of slick. Mode 2 for the hill climb, why not? This thing just grips. It has a lot of grip. Like, it didn't even spin up that, it just hooked. It's so good. And I literally haven't had any problems. I did have a whole bunch of random switches on here before I got this cluster, and some of those broke when I dropped it, but like, besides for that, no problems at all. All right, let's try to actually go back up this the right way. I don't know why, maybe because it's slightly damp and I'm just slipping and sliding everywhere, but this bike is so fun. See that? I do need tires. The tires are done. Oh yeah, front tire slipping out right there. Oh, that was clean. Front tire slipping out right there. Yeah, I'm only in mode 1 right now. I just don't really need more power. Ooh, that did not feel good. Oh, do not stick your feet out. I always do that by natural instinct. I try to not do that. Oh, that did not feel good. But chill now. Alright, here's the jump. It's like 15-ish feet. This is the lip down here. Well, you really take off here, so it's like 18. I don't think I'm gonna clear it. I don't think either of us is gonna clear it. Let's see if I can even make it there with these crap tires. Oh, these tires. Little like double, I guess. All right, let's see if we can even make it up this hill climb. I'm gonna take basically one of the hardest ones right here. This is like almost vertical, probably doesn't look like that on camera. Mode 2, let's go. Oh, I got no traction. Please hook. I did not make that. It was slicker than I thought.